Believe in Bills, Wednesday pre-Thanksgiving edition. Adam Benini, WGRZ TV. Sal Marana, the Rochester Democrat and Chronicle, as always. And a guest with us, former New England Patriot and current member of the Football Night in America staff, Devin McCourty. Devin, thanks so much for taking the time to be with us.
Oh, no problem, man. Thanks for having me on.
As a former Patriot, I could hear the boos in the background, Devin. From Bills Mafia is giving you a hell of a greeting when they turn this podcast down.
You know what was cool, though? I was back there last year for Westwood One Radio calling the game, and I went from the booth down the stands to the field, and as soon as I went, I was like, this is probably not a good idea. And a bunch of fans were like, hey, McCourty, how you doing? Super nice, and I think, and I know we'll get into it a little bit, I think it had to do with the latter part of my career, Buffalo beating us down. They're like, we like this guy now. We got to beat up on him at the end of his career.
That's true.
So,
it's true.
I mean, you were part of that run of domination by the New England Patriots, not just of the Buffalo Bills, but as much against Buffalo as anyone. But then, thanks to the number 17 with the Buffalo Bills, that pendulum began to swing. And he may be at his best right now within everything else this team has going on. When you look at Josh Allen, this version of Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills as they get ready to take on San Francisco Sunday night on Sunday Night Football on NBC, what do you see?
For one, Josh Allen's my favorite quarterback in the NFL. Watching him and then watching what had to happen for his career, the growth, he obviously came in with a ton of talent. He would have splash plays, but I still remember first time playing him, and it was like, hey, this guy's going to make some plays, but like we have to take advantage of the opportunities he's going to give us to make our plays. And we walked away with 4 interceptions in that game. And then that was 2018. You fast forward 2020, we play him on a Monday night, and they had come in, I think they were like at 35 points a game. He was at 300 some yards over like the last 5 or 6 games. And we're preparing, and we're in the meeting room, and Bill's like, hey, Josh Allen's better, but like, we got to stop this run game. And everybody in the secondary looks at each other like, the run game? Like, we're worried about the run? And he came in, I think Diggs had 3 touchdowns, like, lit us up. And ever since then, you know, we squeaked out some wins here and there against them, but they've dominated the division, and it's been, like you said, it's to Josh Allen. And I love any guy who comes in the league and there's like this narrative written on him, or, you know, everybody's like, case closed, this is what he is. And they just continue to grow and grow and grow. And now he's one of the top candidates for MVP this year. It's a lot of credit to him, his team, and obviously everybody keeps around him to continue to get better. That's not always something very talented guys do, and he's done that in his career.
Devin, when you're game planning on defense, okay, let's reference the touchdown run he made against the Chiefs, which is really a play that nobody could stop. I mean, it's basically impossible to stop that. But when you're game planning to face a quarterback like Josh Allen, how much of the plan is centered on you've got to contain him in the pocket? You know he's got the big arm, he's going to complete. But how much of the plan is centered on the aspect of the unknown with Josh Allen, what he could do with his legs?
Yeah, man, it's one of those things in media, or when you're game planning, you say this in an interview and you say, hey, like, we got to make him a pocket passer. Like, everyone goes crazy, like, oh, that's disrespectful. He can throw from the pocket. And it's like, yeah, we know. But when he gets outside of the pocket, he's the most dangerous guy on the field because he can run. He can launch the ball 70 yards down the field. So, yeah, when you play against him, it's telling the guys up front, like, hey, it's going to feel like you can beat the guy blocking you sometimes, and maybe you will. But if you end up 6 yards instead of 4 yards into the pocket, and now Josh moves up into that B gap behind the guard, and he takes off, like, you do us no good. You're behind the quarterback. Like, it doesn't help us. So it starts from the defensive lineman, whoever's rushing, then it's to the linebackers, how much depth you're going to get, how far you're going to get away from them. Are you going to be in man where nobody can see him? Are you going to play more zone? Like, these are all the things you have to think about. And when he was young in his career, it was like, hey, let's play a lot of zone. Let's switch up the looks, make it so he has to see it late and recognize it. And then we all have eyes if he runs. Now it's gone to the point where, like, all right, he's going to throw a really good ball if we're in zone, and he's going to kill us just right down the field. So we have to play man. and then you have to bank on one guy being a spy tackling him, which doesn't always work out for you as a defense.
How tough is it when you're in the secondary? Okay, you're covering your man, whether it's zone or man. When he breaks contain and he gets out there as a DB, how difficult is it? Because there's a chance he might still throw the ball to your guy, but you also know he might be coming right at you. How difficult is that choice to make?
You want to know? You remember 2021 season, the Patriots go to Buffalo in the playoffs, and we don't make them punt one time in the game. It was that difficult. He had runs where, one of the corners come out to tackle him. He makes a move. He breaks that tackle. I'm at the middle field safety. I'm looking at him. I'm back there. Next thing I know, I'm the first one that gets a shot at tackling him 30 yards down the field. Then you feel like, hey, we got him good. He's in the pocket. He's rolling right. We had a guy that was like pushing him out of bounds, and he throws one ball in the back of the end zone. Knox catches it. Like, it's so many plays where it's like you see the play happening and you're like, oh, this is going to be good for the defense. And then it's like, how did he throw that ball in there while stiff arming a guy and a yard from the sideline? So it's so difficult. You have to stay disciplined and stay to your coverage. Once he breaks the line of scrimmage, then you have to go. And you say that over and over again. Every defensive coordinator, position coach, they tell every player that. But once you get out there on the field with him and all right, now instead of being 10 yards, it's 15, 20 yards, and now I'm going to have to tackle in space, you're like, man, forget this. I'm going to get him. And then he dumps the ball in over your head. And again, like, that's what happens when you play great quarterbacks. Like, you have to be disciplined and understand they're going to make some big plays, but if you don't stay disciplined, they're going to make the game changers that just break your defense.
Great inside takes from someone who's had to go against Josh Allen. And Devin, I'm going to ask you to expand on that point in just a second. Quick word from the sponsor here real fast. BetOnline is the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for online betting. The largest selection of odds on everything from football, the NBA, NHL, college hoops, as well as the UFC and MMA. Head to the website today. BetOnline, the game starts here. So you talk about the degree of difficulty, Devin, in defending Josh Allen, but then you look at this version of the Buffalo offense. And statistically, he's not having to do as much as he did in the past. They move on from Stephon Diggs. The passing game was obviously not as explosive as it needed to be earlier in the season. So they go out and they trade for Amari Cooper, who gives them the ability to take the top off of a defense. And all of a sudden, even when he's out there, his numbers, when he's been healthy, haven't jumped off of the stat sheet. But you've seen the offense function differently with a guy like Cooper in the game. Now you have Shakir, so effective out of the slot, right? You've seen what's happened to the tight end position. It allows others, Coleman, when he initially you saw a jump in his game, and when he comes back, that's expected to continue with Keon Coleman. It allows for the other receivers in that group to really play to their specific skill sets. And I'm just wondering, with Allen, a much more mature and refined version within all of that, how much better and how much more difficult to defend does it make this Buffalo offense?
I mean, I always look at it as when you go into game plan, like when Stephon Diggs was there, it was okay. He's usually going to be backside at X. When he moves around as a defense, we're always going to be aware of him. And we know for the most part, he's going to be the number one option on, let's call it 70 to 80% of the drop back pass plays. Okay, so if we take him away, now we're making the team play a different style that they're probably not used to. Whereas I think now Amari Cooper comes in, and I think Diggs at this point in his career, I would classify them as similar route runners, can create explosive plays. They still dictate coverage. But the difference now is Amari Cooper's a part of the Buffalo Bills offense instead of being the main guy in the Buffalo Bills offense. So you see Kansas City, you come out, you're just playing. Amari Cooper makes 2 plays down the field. Now you get to the sideline, and it's like, all right, how are we going to handle Amari Cooper? So maybe you move somebody else over there. Maybe the safety is cheated a little bit more that way because it's an explosive play. Now, next thing you know, Shakir, where he's the best that is in the slot, whether it's a screen pass, whether it's work in the middle of the field, whether it's short throws that he turns into longer gains, now that opens up more space. Then you put Knox and Kincaid in there. These guys are working in the middle of tight end plays. And I think one of the best things they've done this year is they've condensed their formations more and more. So now you have all these tight formations. Is it run with Keon Coleman, Mac Hollins in there, big physical, strong guys blocking? Oh, no, this time it's not. It looks exactly like the run play we just saw in the first quarter, but now it's play action pass. We got an over route coming. So I just think if I was still playing and you had a game plan against them, you're dealing with everything Josh Allen brings, and now you're dealing with just a bunch of different weapons that are used in so many different ways. And that's just talking about the passing game. We haven't even talked about the effectiveness of James Cook in the running game, whether it's been him, Johnson, or Davis. Like, I just think they've turned this offense into one of the high-powered offense when we talk about, like, Detroit, and we talk about Sean McVay and the Rams. We talk about Kevin O'Connell with the Vikings. They can beat you so many ways. And I think the game against the Chiefs, I think, really made people open their eyes like, oh, wow. Like, if we play against the Buffalo Bills, like, we're going to have to stop a bunch of different things. And I think for Josh Allen, he's at the perfect part of his career where the maturity level is so high. He wants to throw to 9 different guys in the game. He wants to do all of those things, and it's made them really hard to stop as an offense.
Devin, let me ask you this. You came to the Patriots right around, I mean, I think Brady was in his 9th or 10th year, so he was already established, and we all knew who Tom Brady was. Now, I'm not going to compare Brady to Allen, of course, not even going to try to do that. But Allen's in his 7th year now, and I'm just wondering do you notice any traits or intangibles that maybe Allen has that Brady already had when you got there? I mean, is he growing into that type of leader, that type of quarterback? I don't know if there's any comparison to make there, but what do you think?
No, I think so. Like, the thing that people never understood about Brady, or didn't make a big deal, and Tom talks about it all the time, was not putting the team in a bad play. Like, everyone talks about the great plays you make. They talk about if you make a bad decision and you throw an interception, but no one understands when you come to the line of scrimmage, sometimes there's a play called. And you go and you run the play, and the way you practice it, it's gone. It's not there. And you have to check the ball down. When we used to play against Josh Allen, we would say, don't cover the check down. He's not going to take the check down. We used to say that. And now he understands, hey, if there's a call in the huddle and I can audible to a different call, I'm going to get us out of a bad call. I'm not going to run a stretch play to the right if I see the safety on the line of scrimmage probably blitzing. And I think that's what you start to see from Josh Allen. I think that's why the turnovers are down. That's why the bad decisions are down, because he understands the game now at a higher level of, hey, if I don't have to force this ball in here, because our team and me, I'm so good that if we just live to see another down, it's probably going to be a positive play that down. Then we'll convert on 3rd down. And then who knows, once we get our first 3rd down conversion and we get into a drive, it might be 8 more plays and a touchdown. It might be in 2 plays and we score a touchdown. And I think he understands that. I think he has a great understanding now of Joe Brady and what they're trying to do as an offense. You're starting to see kind of what like him and Brian Dable were building when you were watching. And it was like, man, like Allen finally found his offensive coordinator. They get each other. He's running him just enough. He like understands how to use them and what plays to call. And I think you're starting to see that now with Joe Brady. And it's fun to watch.
So does that all kind of crystallize and come together in the form of that 4th and 2 against Kansas City? I mean, as a former DB in the league, take me through that. I mean, that's supposed to be a mesh play. He quickly recognizes that the Chiefs have done a good job in coverage and takes off. And that's just an epic sort of a run for the ages. When you see a play like that, take me inside it from your perspective, and what does it mean to you?
It's special. And you think about the Monday night game against the Jets, right? A 4th down play. Ty Johnson goes and he's supposed to throw the screen, but he doesn't throw the screen, and he runs to the opposite side. This play, he drops back. He recognizes man-to-man coverage. He doesn't like no one's wide open. The mesh routes that they're running, Chiefs do a good job, what we call tailpipe, and getting right behind the receiver. But he also knows, okay, now that they're in that coverage, I'm kind of free until I get to the free safety. Like, I'm not going to sit here and bounce for another 5 seconds. Good luck to them bringing me down where the closest guy is 20 yards away. I'm out of there. And it reminds me of 2015. We play against the Denver Broncos in Denver, and we're playing against Peyton Manning. And it's a huge 3rd down in the game. We're trying to come back in the game, and we go to cover 2, but man-to-man underneath. So 2 safety deeps. Everybody else is in man-to-man. Peyton drops back right away, reads the coverage. We all know Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, two of the worst athletes to ever probably play in the NFL. As soon as he hits his back foot, he runs. He picks up 16 yards. I remember being back there looking like this is in slow motion, but it was the perfect play for him to do against the defense we were in. And I think Josh is now getting to that point where it's like, I know I can sit in the pocket and try to thread the needle and make this great throw, but I also know God bless me with this body and these legs that if they give me that coverage, I'm gone. Like, again, guys are rushing past me. That's nowhere to be. I'm out of there. So the maturation of him as a player, not just as a quarterback in the decision making, but recognizing NFL defenses and knowing how to exploit them right away, like that. Again, it puts so much pressure on any defense. Kansas City's a good defense, but the amount of pressure it puts on you, it's really hard to get stops.
Let me ask you a question and put you on the spot at the same time. A lot of people will compare Lamar to Allen because of the styles of play, right? Give me the guy, if you're the head coach of a team, who's the guy you want at your quarterback? Based on what they do, the skill sets they do, put them in a neutral offense. Who are you taking there?
Oh,
I told you I was putting you on the spot.
It's so hard because you say a neutral offense.
Say they're gonna build an offense around that guy. Who are you taking?
Man, it's hard. Honestly, on a Monday, I'm taking Josh Allen. On a Tuesday, I might take Lamar Jackson because, again, like to me, both those guys, they can do a lot of similar things. It's just we see them in different style offenses. Like both these guys, like to me, if you take Josh Allen and you put him in Baltimore's offense, we look and we say, this is still a dynamic offense. This is still really hard to beat. And to me, if you take Lamar Jackson, you put him in the Buffalo Bills offense, it's still a dynamic offense. It's still an offense really hard to beat. So those guys are a lot different. Those guys to me, are very similar in some of the things they can do. It would really come down to me, the size of the quarterback. If you like a bigger, stronger quarterback, then you might say, hey, give me Josh Allen. If you like a guy that's a little bit faster, quicker, you might say, hey, give me a Lamar Jackson. But for me, like those, I say four guys, those two guys, Burrow and Mahomes, are just like in a class of their own. Now, if you compare Allen and Burrow, to me, there's big differences in there because Burrow's more the guy. He can run, but he's going to be in the pocket. He's going to understand how to beat you. You're going to have to put a lot of different disguises in. And Burrow's great, but like you put those two, again, I told you coming into this, Allen's my favorite quarterback. There's not many guys I would take over Josh Allen. Maybe Patrick Mahomes only because of what he's been able to do in games, into the games. Like he has the championships. But other than that, like I would argue, like if you told me, hey, after Mahomes, I'm taking Allen, and on some days you tell me I'm taking Allen first, I would say, like, hey, I'm all for that. I think he's that good.
All right, so very few, and feel free to disagree with this. I mean, I know Sal and I did not expect a 9-2 start from the Buffalo Bills. I mean, they've answered a lot of the questions, right, that so many people had about them as they were moving on from Diggs and transitioning the roster and all of those things. And there's the Josh Allen angle, which we've spent a lot of time on, but this team, there's more to it than that. And one of the reasons he's not having to do as much has been the play of this defense. They've come up with answers on that side of the ball. They stand to get healthier as they head down the stretch. You know, Matt Milano set to return to the lineup here at some point, remains to be seen when, but his practice window is open. With all of that and what they're bringing now on the defensive side, and Terrell Bernard and the impact, for example, that he can make, right? How dangerous and how complete is this Bills team?
Yeah, man. Coming into this season, everyone talked about Diggs being gone and Gabe Davis and the offense. I went on a few different platforms and said, like, I wasn't worried about their offense. I thought this was the time in Josh Allen's career where you didn't need to have like a star or a big name. Like he needed to fill those roles and making everybody else great around him. And I was like, I believe he'll do that. My question marks was the defense. It was, hey, Tre'Davious White's been at corner for a long time. Jordan Poyer, Micah Hyde. Like I had to play against these guys. They've been the key to your defenses for a long time. Like what do you do now? Like, what's gonna happen? And then Matt Milano goes down early in the season. It's like, oh my goodness. Then they play the Baltimore Ravens, and it's like, whoa, it's up and down the field. It's Derrick Henry, 80-something yards on the first play. And it's a ton of credit to this defense that, for one, you don't read what everybody writes about you. You're not concerned about that. And you stick to the plan. Whatever you're doing as a defense, whatever you are, you stick to it and say, hey, we know we're doing the right thing. We just need to get better at it. And Taylor Rapp, to me, has been a guy that's filled in that safety role that's been really good, whether it's coming downhill, hitting you, creating turnovers. And you said it, Terrell Bernard has been fantastic. And think about this. He's supposed to be the guy that comes in to be next to Matt Milano. And Matt Milano goes out the last 2 years, and he's had to step up and be in that role and really have to try to be the guy. And it's been fun to watch. And one guy that I've loved for a long time, he spent time in Miami, and he used to always like read screens, Jordan Phillips, and he'd get interceptions, look super athletic. I thought watching the film from last week, his presence back in there in the middle to go along, obviously, with Ed Oliver, who's, one of the most explosive defensive tackles in the NFL, I thought created size that they needed to really help them against some of these teams when you play Baltimore again, play against the Chiefs with Kareem Hunt and what they're able to do. If you have to play against the Chargers and how they want to run the ball. So, again, I think this defense has really stepped up. They've answered, I think, a lot of the questions for me that I had coming into the season. They needed to be a really good defense. They need to be great in times when they play against the really good teams for them to be Super Bowl caliber team. And that defense is doing it. So really credit to them. I think they've really stepped up at the corner position. That's been huge for them, being able to go out there and defend and go man-to-man when they need to. Rasul Douglas and those guys have been really good. Ben Ford have been awesome this year. So it's been fun to watch. I'm a defensive guy, so I think you have to say, and I can't forget, Taron Johnson coming back has been huge for this defense. What he brings, his ability in the run and pass game. I think this defense really struggled with him being out and what he creates when he's in the lineup.
Do you think, Devin, part of the Bills' success during the McDermott era, because you lived it in New England, where it was just year after year, some of the faces changed, but the culture remained the same. What you guys were doing in your schemes always just remained the same, and you just built and built. Is that part of why you think the Bills have been successful? Because Adam and I have talked about this, how they get guys who go down, but the way they build their roster, they've got a guy ready to step up. And the drop-off isn't huge. I mean, obviously, if you lose Allen, it's huge, but they haven't lost him. Other areas on this team, guys go out, guys come in, and they just keep doing the same stuff over and over. Do you see any similarity to what the Bills have built compared to how the Patriots built their dynasty?
Yeah, to me, if you look across the league, though, like Buffalo's an example of, hey, every season's not going to go the way you want. Because the way everybody wants their season to go is hoisting Lombardi at the end of the season. But like we watch these teams where like a guy like Sean McDermott sometimes is fired and let go because you lose to Kansas City twice, or you lose to Kansas City twice and then you lose to Cincinnati. It's like, oh, he just won't get us over the hump. And then you move on, and then you find out the next guy you bring in, he's nowhere close to what you just had. So then you start this cycle. So again,
Oh, we lost you.
Yep. This stems from them having just a head coach that they keep there. They believe in him. He's been able to build, and like we don't know which year is going to be the year, but I think everybody watching Buffalo is like, this team is right there. Like they're so close to one of these years getting over the top, being in the Super Bowl. But I think that has to do with saying, hey, like this coach is a good coach. Yeah, some things don't work out. An injury happens here, or maybe it's a bad 13 seconds left. Bad mistake, no doubt about it. But he's still the coach because he's a great coach. So credit to them just sticking with it and believing in what they were doing, believing in their culture and their recipe.
All right, so finally here, as we prepare to wrap this up, it's the Buffalo Bills at 9-2, the San Francisco 49ers at 5-6, dealing with all kinds of injuries. We don't have any specific updates as we record this on Wednesday morning, but as you look toward and prepare to work that game, Devin McCourty for Football Night in America and NBC, What's your initial take on that matchup and how you might see things playing out Sunday night?
The hardest thing in football is when you watch the film, it's like, especially last week for San Francisco, you're like, Buffalo, like, this is going to be an easy game for them. And football never goes that way, especially when a team performs like the way San Fran performed last week. You expect a dramatic difference. You expect them to play harder, to kind of play with a desperation mode about them. But I think overall, I think the style of play for Buffalo the way they play has given San Fran problems. Playing against physical teams who are willing to run the ball, a big quarterback who's able to run the ball, a part of that run game plan, I think has given San Fran trouble. They're a team that, to me, when you turn on the film, too much running around blocks. Teams are running right at them. Josh Jacobs in Green Bay, they did it last Sunday, running at them. And I think the weapons they have across the board offensively, it just makes it tough to match up for San Francisco. Now, I think San Francisco's offense, they're dynamic. And, if Kittle comes back this week and you get Debo, Kittle, and Christian McCaffrey in there, which has been very seldom this year, I think that's going to make it tough. And I think Buffalo's going to have a test, but I think they'll get enough stops. And I really do. I think Buffalo, the way they've been playing out, I think one of the hardest things is when you have a bye week, when you feel like, hey, we really got it going. Sometimes it takes a quarter and a half for you to kind of knock off the rust of not playing for a week. Yes, you're fresher and all of that, but you got to kind of get back in that groove. And I'm sure McDermott has made it, at least one of these practices really tough to get the guys back in the groove of playing. But overall, I think Buffalo's the better team, and I think they'll prevail Sunday night.
All right.
I agree.
Very good. Devin McCourty, we very much appreciate your time and very much look forward to watching your work, enjoying your work. I think you're doing a great job with NBC, and obviously you'll be a key part of the coverage on Sunday night. On Channel 2, we're going to have a special pregame show at 6:30 and then hand it off to Football Night in America at 7 o'clock with Devin and the team. And Sal Mayorana, as always, full coverage in the Rochester Democrat and Chronicle. Devin McCourty, we very much appreciate your time. Thanks so much, man.
No problem, guys. Thanks for having me on. I love this post life. I go on Buffalo, the Jets, everywhere now. It's all love, man. Awesome.
Dress warm, my dude. Dress warm. Right. It's going to be miserable here.
I get to be in the studio. I'm lucky.
Yeah, I'll be in the press box. I'm lucky, too.
All right, Devin McCourty. Thanks so much again. Bills-Niners, Sunday Night Football, Channel 2 and NBC. For Sal Mayorana, Devin McCourty with NBC Sports, I'm Adam Benini, WGRZ. Thanks very much for being with us here on this special edition of Believe in Bills.